Hey guys, Haley and I wanted to come to you with a quick training about safety, creating a safe environment. This video will probably be about 12 minutes long or so, I don't know. We'll try to be quick, but so creating a safe environment for our kids is very important. That's one of the biggest things we want to do here, so that way we can begin to build relationships with them where they're open to be able to connect with us and also connect with God and with other kids. So, and part of that, one thing that I think a lot of us don't always think about is showing up on time and how that affects the safety of not just our kids, but each other. Because we don't want volunteers to be in a room alone with kids, especially if there is a male who is volunteering. It could look a little bit different from an outside perspective, especially if he's in there alone with just females. It can help protect him from any kind of thing happening or being said, and just giving a level of comfort to other people. So you're protecting other volunteers, and not just with males, it goes for females too, but you're also protecting the kids, because in a matter of seconds you could have only 2 kids in the beginning and end up with like 20 within a few minutes, and you're waiting for your other volunteers to get there. And this also goes for those who are replacing people from first service. If you're coming in for the second service to volunteer, first service, a lot of times we're done, we want to get out of there, and so we see that first person come, like maybe it's Miss Trish in the preschool room, and then everybody else darts and thinks that she's good to go because she's awesome and she's great, but she ends up getting left in there for a while with several preschoolers, and then new preschoolers are coming in before the other volunteer is there. So even if you are being replaced, wait until there's an adequate amount of other volunteers there before you leave. And for those who are coming into second service, make sure you get back there on time. We should be able to get back there at least within 30 minutes before service starts. I know sometimes service runs late, and so that makes it a little bit hard because we want to socialize, we want to do those things, but you're putting potentially kids or other volunteers in a situation where somebody might not be safe. So get back there, and with that also, if you're second service, you should be able to be here for first service. I know some of us, it's a very hard transition to make, or it's hard to get here with kids, but we want you to be able to grow and to continue with your growth and filling up, so that way you can pour out to others, and that'll also helps you to ensure that you're here on time for second service.
So I'm going to be talking about bathroom and water break safety. So when taking a group of girls to the bathroom, a female volunteer needs to take them, and when taking boys to the bathroom, a male volunteer needs to take them. So for preschool, for instance, we don't really have male volunteers in there all the time, so in that case, one volunteer, female if so, would go and take them to the restroom, but they would stand outside the door, and then the other volunteer would stand at the gate where the preschool room is, just in case if they need help, they could yell down the hallway for help. We would like you guys to stand outside of the doors, so you wouldn't have to go in. With that, if they need your help, they can yell for you, and then have them come outside of the hall, into the hall, to where if they need help like buttoning their pants or anything of that kind of thing, people could see that's what you're doing, that you're just not walking into the kids' restrooms. For elementary, that goes the same. If there's a mixture of kids, a female and male, a female volunteer needs to take them. We would like to, but if not, one is fine. But we usually do have a male volunteer in there, so males will take the boys, and the females will take the girls. So you can just stand outside the door, make sure that there's no roughhousing, any type of that stuff as well.
Yeah. So unless there's like a kid gets sick or a fight or something happens, then really you shouldn't have to need to go in, especially for elementary kids. I remember there was one time where an elementary boy needed help buckling his pants, and I just had him come out into the hallway where I could be viewed not only by the camera but by other people, and I didn't have to worry about it. And then if you do have to go in for some reason, you really want to ask for another volunteer, like, asking either whether it's toddlers or preschool, Maybe toddlers has an extra person that can come in and witness and be there for you, again, for your safety as well. Because this day and age, people can make claims or anything, but the camera allows us to know like who's going in there and how long they've been in there, or if you're standing outside, and that helps you on your part for your safety. So going into that, we're going to talk about physical contact. Physical contact is something that you should not necessarily initiate. We all have our favorite kids and kids that we want to get hugs from or see a lot, but really we should allow kids to do that or make that first initiation of contact, because they might feel awkward telling you no if you ask for a hug. We don't know everybody's background or situations or what they've been through, and it can put a child in a really weird and awkward position if you're not careful or mindful of that. So even if it's like poking or prodding or things like that, just be mindful of those things. And so males, you especially have to be mindful of this with girls, because girls develop, and there are places that you need to be careful of, and you could easily brush or touch an area that can make them very uncomfortable if you're wrestling or tickling or things like that. So you really have to be very careful of that. And so for the most part, I would say, try not to do that, especially you not initiating it. If they poke or prod you, you can joke, you can do whatever, but you don't have to do it back necessarily. Sitting on laps in preschool, toddlers, nursery, like obviously there's going to be physical contact. Diapers need change. Kids want hugs. Kids want to sit on you, that kind of thing, a lot more in those areas. And so what we just suggest in that is that, if you're in one of those areas as a male, just try to limit yourself to just boys on your lap, just because from an outsider perspective, it can, with not knowing people's backgrounds, it can make somebody feel uncomfortable. And then separating kids sometimes is very necessary. You'll have boys who want to wrestle, who want to sit on each other or lay on each other or tackle each other, whatever, all kinds of things. And that kind of roughhousing can be a real hindrance towards kids, especially if you have a young girl who's a little shy or leery of those things. It can make them hesitant to be around or want to even come in. It can make them not feel safe because they're afraid they're going to get knocked into or jumped on or whatever. And so really you should be trying to stop those things. I'm really big in the E-zone. I tell kids, like, I don't even say hands to yourselves now, because I know that a foot's going to hit somebody or whatever at this point. So I say bodies to yourselves. Keep your bodies to yourself, because they're really bad about it. And Wednesday nights especially. So just trying to make sure that you are stopping that and limiting that and making sure you feel comfortable in leading in that way, and telling kids, it's okay to tell kids no, and it's okay to tell them to stop something, and it's okay to separate them. You don't have to feel like you're a bad person. You're a leader, and you're trying to make sure that everybody feels safe, and that's one way that we have to do it.
So just a reminder to treat all the kids the same, no favoritism, just so they know that they want to be loved and treated the same and to be known and that kind of stuff. So just remember that as further on.
Yeah, because it can really easily look to a new kid or a kid who maybe doesn't have a great home life that this kid gets all the attention and I'm here, but they don't even look at me, or they don't even think about me. I never get a hug, or I don't, that guy never comes over and talks to me. So we just want to make sure that they all feel that same sense of belonging when they come. So, and that happens in our groups with every small group leader. When you're leading a group in the E-zone or preschool or toddlers even, you're creating an environment or a safe group where they can feel like they belong and are known. And so in those groups during discussion or activity time, when you're sitting at a table in a preschool room trying to help them with their craft or anything like that, you're creating a place where they know that they can rely on you, and they're getting a relationship, creating a relationship with you where they feel safe. So, really make sure that there's no bullying or no picking going on. If that happens, you stop it immediately. make sure that everybody gets a chance to participate. If it's a game or a discussion where they get to answer, everybody who wants to, but don't force them, because that can be a real turnoff to them if they're really shy or they have social anxiety or any of those things. It can make them, if they feel forced, that can make them not feel safe and not want to come back. So with that comes reporting any kind of abuse. If somebody does open up to you and share something, you need to tell me and your leader. We have to report that. I would, unless you are someone who's probably in a school system or something, you may not know the ins and outs of that. So I would have you write down a statement of everything that was told to you, all the details that you can share, and we would report that. So that can happen. It has happened for me. I've had to report things before. And within that, what happens in groups should really stay in groups. When they're sharing something with you, if they're opening up to you about something, being bullied at school or anything like that, you need to just make sure that they know that it's safe and that you're not going to go telling everybody else about it. The three hurt rule is something that I talk about and I share all the time, and that is if it doesn't get shared unless it is somebody hurting them, they're hurting somebody else, or they are hurting themselves. In any of those cases, that is when it needs to be shared with the main leader in your room, with me, possibly with parents, depending on it, as long as it's not the parents who are doing the hurting. If they are doing that, then we report that, and we go through the proper channels as far as that goes. The bottom line of all of this is that, relationships are not going to grow when they don't feel safe, and that's their relationships with others, with you, and with God. If they don't feel safe, they're not going to want to be there, and they're not going to be open to that growth. Haylee, anything else you want to add?
No.
So those are all the things we could think of, the main things. So I hope that you learned something from that, or were just reminded of something. If you have any questions, you can contact me via text, through Facebook, email, whatever. I'm here. We are so glad that you guys are serving with us and serving our kids, and we thank you for creating safe places for them.